Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. SAG-AFTRA Foundation and BroadwayWorld continue their Conversation Q&A series, which celebrates the vibrant theater community here in New York City and its union actors who work on both stage and screen. This event, which is coming from the New School, is a special conversation with the 4 stars of Roundabout Theatre Company's dazzling new production of She Loves Me. Please welcome Laura Benanti, Zachary Levi, Jane Krakowski, and Gavin Creel. Enjoy.
He brought me ice cream, vanilla ice cream. Imagine that ice cream. And for the first time, we were together without a scratch. Friendly, he was so friendly. That isn't like him. I'm silly stunned. Will wonders never cease. Will wonders never cease. It's been the most peculiar day.
Welcome. As we get started, I have to say that this production of She Loves Me is perfection in every way. I know a lot of you have seen it, right? You all look like you're having the time of your lives with this show.
No.
No, I knew that. What has
Kidding.
made this so special for each of you? Laura?
Well, for me, I grew up listening to the record, the original cast album recording that my mom had, and Barbara Cook is my idol, so I wore that thing out. And, you know, normally as a soprano, as a coloratura soprano, you don't get to be funny. You get to sing beautiful songs and then, like, swoon and cry. So to have an opportunity to sing this score and then also have, you know, comedic moments and also truthful and sad moments is really nice and refreshing and not something that I get to do a lot. Yeah.
I grew up listening to the original album as well. Barbara Cook is my idol. And
It's not true. He's lying. He's a liar.
We, as a soprano, it's difficult to... no, I don't know, man. I grew up doing a bunch of theater, but you know, like school theater and community theater and stuff like that, and always dreamt about making it to Broadway one day. And, you know, a couple years ago when I did First Date, I got to do that. But to have an opportunity to join this insane cast and crew.
Like mentally ill.
Yes, mentally insane. This one. And, but you know, and our leadership, you know, having, you know, being led by Scott Ellis and Warren Carlyle and Paul Gimignani, and it's just it's crazy, you know, for a Luddite, and I really do feel like I'm a Luddite. I mean, we have conversations sometimes about various like Broadway shows or people, and I'm like, who was that? Who are you talking
Accurate.
about? It's accurate. It's accurate. But I don't profess to know what I don't know, and I also do really love learning, and so I, you know, both in First Aid and in this and everything I do, I try to sponge it all up, and so it's been an incredible ride, and I learn from all of these people so much. You know, they're veterans, and Michael McGraw and Byron Jennings, and I mean, hell, I learned from Nick Barish. He's 17 and he's got one more show than I do. So, you know, it's all that. Jane.
I've had a long-standing relationship with the Roundabout. I consider them my New York theater home and family, pretty much, because I've gotten to do a few productions with them, and it was very important to me and to be a part of their 50th anniversary. And so because I had the great pleasure of doing a sort of gala performance of She Loves Me about 5 years ago with Gavin, was also in it at that time. I had gotten a little bit to test drive Alona and on that one night, and I completely fell in love with her and the show, which I had seen as an audience member, but didn't fully understand until we were working on it how well crafted and well written this show is. And that is a great joy for me every night. I mean, I find new lyrics every single night, and I'm just like, that is so smart, it's so clever, it's so exactly right for this character or your character. And so initially it was to work again with Scott Ellis and the Roundabout, and I was thrilled that I was able to be a part of their 50th anniversary.
These people are why I was there. It's truly, I kind of just was excited to be in the room where it happened.
Get out.
Get out.
I really was. I was just honored to be asked, and I love theater. I'm a theater baby. Like, I think it's funny that I'm on this panel of SAG-AFTRA because I've done 2 things on television, and these people basically run television. But I'm a theater lover. I love what theater can do. I love that we can come together like this and kind of collectively connect in a way that each night changes. And I just feel each job when they say, would you like to do this? I kind of go, me? You know, and I'm really happy to be up there with these guys. So,
Yeah. You are all flawless in what you do on stage. And these characters you have created are the perfect melding of talent and material. Did you each pursue these roles? This is a role you wanted, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been wanting to play this part for a really long time. So when it came my way, I was pretty psyched about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelly O'Hara.
What do you love the most about her?
About Kelly O'Hara?
Yes. Amalia.
Oh, about Amalia. Sort of what I said before. You know, I love her spunkiness, especially in 1930s Budapest.
Yeah.
To get to play a woman who's not just listening to what men say. She's fighting for a job. She's fighting for herself. She's fighting for love. She's fighting for her integrity. She's putting herself on the line and doing it with humor and grace and stumbling, and she just feels very human to me. And a lot of times I feel like soprano roles, I feel like they sort of break it apart. It's like the belter is sassy and funny, and then the soprano is like pretty and like wide-eyed. And I think with both of these female characters, especially the fact that it was written in the 60s, they feel so fully drawn to me, and they feel so real and not antiquated in any way. So yeah, I was drawn to it for that reason.
Yeah. Zach, for you.
Oh, same question. No, I didn't know the show. I was singing at a benefit in LA. There's a few different benefits that they do. Actually, I think one of them unfortunately is not happening anymore. But where they would get various like Broadway or TV talent to sing Broadway shows. Or Broadway songs, and I remember the music director for 1 year. We were trying to pick a song, and they go, "Why don't you do this song?" I can't remember if it was "She Loves Me" or "Tonight Today," but they said, "Why don't you do this song from She Loves Me?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've never heard that before," and so I bought the album. I know this is ridiculous.
I'm sorry,
What
everybody.
the hell am I doing here? In fairness, She Loves Me was only on Broadway for 8.5 months in the 60s and a year in the 90s. So who here saw it before this one? Okay, a few people. All right, put your hands down. Still the minority, I might point out. Point is, so I listened to it and I was, but it was like kind of up on the deadline to learn all the lyrics, and there's a lot of lyrics, and I was like, I'm just gonna do a song that I knew. I think I did something from Oklahoma or Bye Bye Birdie or something. I don't know what I did. Both great shows. And so I actually owned the album, and then so when the offer came through, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I own that album. And so I listened to it, and I listened to it, and I listened to it. And I think like with any music, whether it's Broadway or pop or whatever, it is that kind of thing where you might listen to an album one time through, and it doesn't really stick with you, but then you listen to it a second time through, and the more, like when it's great music, and it just keeps like layering on, and you start hearing more and more of the lyrics and the authenticity of the intelligence of the lyrics and really how brilliant the music. I mean, I'm a really big Disney fan, and Sheldon and Jerry weren't Disney guys, but I really feel like they have a really kind of like a magical, whimsical thing about how they wrote music and lyrics that really kind of also lends itself to that world. And I was just like, yeah, this is really great. And though I didn't even know it at the time, after I read the kind of sheet on, when the offer came through, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, this was The Shop Around the Corner, and this was You've Got Mail. This is the same kind of premise. And so while I might not have known that this was a role that I always wanted to play, because I'm a massive Tom Hanks and Jimmy Stewart fan, this very much was a role that I wanted to play, even though I didn't know it. And then I got to do it. So thank you, Josh Radnor. In the same.
We should send them something.
We should send them flowers.
In my imagination, I can hear our conversation taking shape tonight at 8. I'll sit there saying absolutely nothing, or I'll jabber like an ape tonight at 8. 2 more minutes, 3 more seconds, 10 more hours to go. I'll know when this is done, if something's ended or begun, and if it goes alright, who knows, I might propose tonight at 8.
I had actually really been missing doing theater. I have been so more than blessed with getting to be on amazing shows on TV, which has been such a joy for me. But there's something in my heart and in my person that I feel me and I feel full when I do theater. And so I was really longing to have that feeling back again. I was excited to be scared. I was excited to have to learn the whole thing. I was excited to stay up past 8 since I had my child. PM, that is. And so I was, when Scott called, I said yes immediately because I knew it fit in my time slot that I could be here, which was so we had 2 weeks of overlap with Kimmy during my first 2 weeks of rehearsal here, so they were gracious enough to tolerate that so I could be a part of it. And so I'm thankful to them for that. And I feel like I've gotten everything I hoped to get out of this experience. I'm a group activities person, I've come to learn. And I love the collaborative process of the theater, and especially on this show. This show, and you may not notice from watching it, but it is so technically, I know it sounds strange to say that about She Loves Me, but the set is so technical, and every piece has to be exactly in the right place or it messes up the next guy, or the set can't close if you didn't properly hatch the stools, or so many little things like that. If a perfume bottle is out of place, it's not. And I love that. I love that I need Zach to put the letter in the right place, and I need Nick to put the gloves in the right place, and then I'll put the bench there for you. And so I feel like, especially with this ensemble, I've just gotten such an amazing collaborative experience with all these guys. I need him to push my leg up. This leg doesn't go up by itself, kids.
Contrary to what you've heard.
Woo! It's all true. But I also did, and I said this briefly earlier, I did really fall in love with Alona, because I love her optimism and her hopefulness, and I think it was the absolute opposite of the characters I've played for the last 10 years on TV, and I loved that. I love that she meant what she said. Yeah. She feels what she says.
Together we generate a spark that's rare. Why deny that it's there, Ilona? You feel it, I know. Let's help it to glow.
I never usually get to play parts like the part that I get to play. I'm usually playing more of the everyman and the sort of the straight guy in the middle around which all the funny and crazy happens. So I was really excited to, I'm still figuring it out, and that's the weird thing about theater is I'm still in an education process right now. As each night I come out and I go, oh, I could do that better, but thank God I get to do it again tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon, and I go, I'll try that again. And Kodai is, I guess people call him the bad guy. I don't see him like that, but it's awesome to play this kind of character. I never play this. Yeah. Elder, I was in Book of Mormon for about 3.5 years total in 3 different places, and I'd never done anything that long either, and I really enjoyed, I don't know that I'll ever know a character better than I know Elder Price, because I did it 1,300 sometimes, and it was like, and the only way you can't get bored, people ask this all the time, well, how do you do the same thing over and over? It's if I don't try to find new little ways to say it, and I love watching these guys, especially because I watched you last night at a moment in the play. I won't bring it up because we hate when people do that. But I was watching and I was like, oh, she's never done it like that before. That's cool, because that's how I want to try to be when I look at Jane's eyes. It's some nights it's this, and some nights it's tiny. It's tiny, but we want to. So with Kodai, I just started, and because I've never played this before, I fail a lot of the times. I get out and I go, that could be better. But I love it. I've gotten, I think, more confident in my goodbye song. I've been like, like enjoying it more. In the beginning, I was just terrified of dropping that cane, which I have, and anyway. But
I didn't know there was a silent F in front of the word cane.
Here
That's
it comes.
cane.
You dropped your cane once, and it was one of the great joyful moments for me because you yelled at your cane in front of the audience. You went, ah! It sounded like bravura, like, oh, but he was like literally angry at his cane.
No, you're talking about the technical end of like stools have to go in, all this stuff. Have there been little mishaps for each of you, like your cane?
I mean, I worry so much about the big stuff, like the stools and stuff, because that's major. If we don't put the stools back, then the whole show stops. Like it's literally like it's that important. So, probably one of the most ridiculous little things, but it is Laura and I have to put the drop cloths back on the counters at the end of the show, and they're these beautiful. They really are. They're the bane. Yeah, they really are. They're these beautiful drop cloths, but like in rehearsals we had muslin. They were like like cloth, like terry cloth. They very easy, and they were one. But these they
like a ShamWow.
They're like this really like chiffon-y kind of, but they're also double layered, but at any rate, we have to put them on in a very specific way with the bows. Although the center bow still doesn't.
Don't talk to me about it. I have nightmares about
It's such a pain in the ass. But we have to put them on in a certain way, and we have to get them between the stool and the counter because when
I'm
they
literally not thinking about what I'm saying at all. I'm like asking you the most important question of the play, and I'm just like,
drop cloth. So,
Did I
Mr.
say
Novak,
it?
you're gonna come over for Christmas
Did I
Eve?
say it?
Mama.
I have caught my little necktie in the box and almost been strangled like I was in a tiny noose. I laugh at literally anything. I'm like,
Yes,
I'm
you
the
do.
easiest mark. I will think about something funny that someone said the other day and I'll start laughing. I've dropped the ice cream on the ground. I hit myself in the face yesterday and it sounded like an earthquake because it hit my microphone. Pretty much I do something stupid every show.
I just remembered something else that happened the other day. I don't know why. I was leaving my song, and I have to slam the door shut on the button. It's like, bye, and for some reason, I went up and I went good night, and I was like, and then I just left. And I missed.
I'm standing here at the door going, okay, I guess I'll shut it. Okay, bye.
But then I fell.
Oh my God.
If you guys have seen the show, I fell. It's like forced perspective, like a long city block. Well, I fell, and then I put my hand on the side, and an entire city block just started swinging. Yes. I turned around and I was like, oh my God, earthquake. Just shaking back and forth.
Oh my God, earthquake!
I was not. Budapest.
Only Michael Morrell and I were left on stage, and like we're literally going like this, and we're trying to look like we're not reacting.
Will he like me? I don't know. All I know is that I'm tempted not to go. Oh, it's insanity for me to worry so. I'll try not to. Will he like me? He's just got to.
What is it like singing this beautiful score by Jerry Bach and Sheldon Harnick? And you had Sheldon Harnick and Joe Masteroff during the rehearsal process. How
Laura?
insightful and everything was that?
It's incredible. I mean, this is the most challenging score I've ever had to sing. And I've had to sing a lot of really challenging stuff. But this material is, for me, very, very difficult. And the trick is to make it look like it's very easy, which I do not always succeed at. But, these lyrics, as Jane was saying earlier, are just, they're perfect. It's not like, oh, now I'm singing a silly song. They are the continuation of a scene or a continuation of your character's innermost thoughts. And having Sheldon there was remarkable. He changed some of the lyrics in what's
Goodbye, George.
Yeah.
Goodbye, George. Yeah, that was just remarkable to watch him change lyrics however many years later.
The day that Sheldon brought in the new lyrics, it was such a sweet moment because he had handwritten every piece of sheet music out. that morning and brought it in for all of us because we were in previews at the time, so they had to like get it orchestrated really quickly. And all the people who got to sing the new lyrics were waiting in a line to have Sheldon sign it for them, and it was just such a special thing. I mean, that's the last probably bit of new, that might be the last bit of new music, certainly for She Loves Me, that will happen. And so it was a very lovely day that we all got to share with Sheldon.
The next thing I know, I'm sipping hot chocolate and telling my troubles to Paul, whose tender brown eyes kept sending compassionate looks. A trip to the library has made a new girl of me, for suddenly I can see the magic of books.
I want to go back to growing up and that defining moment for each of you when you said, I'm going to go and be an actor and try to make a living at this. Do you remember that defining moment for each of you? Because that's a big one when you say, I could become a doctor, a dental technician, I could be a, veterinarian or whatever. But that...
All solid options, guys. All solid.
But that defining moment where you said to yourselves, I'm going to go for this. It's a big step.
I was at dental school. I was in someone's mouth, and I was like, oh, what a beautiful...
Oh, what a beautiful molar.
molar.
What was your moment?
Oh, I think it was simple. I had the most normal, quote unquote, normal life, and I was in high school, and I was in Bye Bye Birdie, and a lot of people, you know what? It was two things. I was in high school, and people were saying, you're really good at this. And when I turned 35, I realized I had spent about 20 years, pretty much. I got a lot of highs out of the theater and performing and being paid attention to, which any one of us is going to lie if they say it's not part of it. It's very exciting as any
Don't
of
look
us.
at me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Any of us. I was teaching a class in North Carolina, and in front of these kids, we were having bag lunch together, and I just went, you know what, you guys? I think I figured life out. And they were all like, like little meerkats. And I said, I think we human beings, we just need something to do, and we want someone to pay attention to us.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Because when I don't have one of those things, I get real sad. And sometimes one of them is not there, or sometimes both of them are not there. My life is better when I have both of those things. I look across, I'm like, oh, hi, okay, you see me, But I spent 20 years till I got 35 where I went, I think I'm doing this because everybody said I was good. Do I really like this? Yeah. And that question terrified me and has sort of set me free in a way. I'm still terrified of acting and singing and dancing and whatever, but I come to these moments in my life where I go, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And just do the work, show up, and look and pay attention to someone else, because you can be that thing and for me, Bye Bye Birdie, playing Albert Peterson, and people saying I was good, I was sort of floated along in my sailboat. Along my own, I mean it. I sort of just coasted. I painted a big, over above my tub in London when I was doing Mormon, I was in a bad place, and I painted the word float on a canvas and put it above my tub. And I would look at it and I would think, life is so hard right now, I'm so sad right now, I'm just gonna let it take me. And then I had to question, do I really like acting? Do I really like this rehearsal process and this show? Do I really? Sometimes no, and sometimes yes. And for me, the moment was then and has been a collective now.
My parents were not performers by trade. My dad was a chemical engineer, my mom was a teacher, but their passion and their love was theater. And so they worked at a local community theater from before I was born and from the time I was born. And we had very average middle class sort of lifestyle, and instead of getting babysitters, and because they couldn't really afford them as much as they wanted to be at the theater, they took me to the theater with them. I had like a little crib at this theater. That I would go to bed, literally they'd put me to bed while they did their shows. Like I was there all the time. And and so that's where I saw my parents having fun from whatever my earliest memories are, and even before that. So it was always infused I think it was infused in me that that's where joy and happiness was. And it definitely, I don't know if I would even be doing this if it wasn't for that very early on influence.
I grew up, I was the middle boy between two sisters. I was basically just like in a sea of estrogen. Like it was my two sisters, my cousin Nikki, my two aunts, my mom, my grandma, all of their friends. Family outings was like going to JCPenney's. Like it was, and I would go find the circular clothing racks and turn them into little forts and like use my imagination to pretend I was, like that was what it was, and maybe being a middle boy, and again, like you never know the things. Like I really do think that later in life you get this really kind of cool perspective of looking back and going, oh wow, look at all these things that God could have used to kind of create the person that I am right now. And I think one of those things was maybe being a middle kid, and a lot of middle kids talk about kind of getting lost a little bit and fighting, vying for attention, and maybe that was the case. And maybe in my vying for attention, I quickly found out that a really fun way to get attention and talking about being noticed or whatever was entertaining people. But it wasn't, but immediately, even as a young kid, I realized it wasn't just a matter of the attention. I genuinely liked bringing joy to people. I genuinely liked making people smile and laugh. I did impersonations since I was this big. I mean, what cartoons, or I did Urkel for like 5 years straight. Like I would be hiking my pants up and with my glasses, and and then of course Jim Carrey hit the scene, and I did every Jim Carrey impersonation, and but then once I found out that there's theater, and that was like I think in kind of middle school really. I was in 6th grade and they were doing Grease, and I auditioned. I played Sonny, one of the T-Birds, and then I was like, oh wow, so not only do you get to, do I love entertaining people and bringing joy to them, but there's a structured place to do that.
Yeah.
My parents were Broadway performers. My dad is an actor. His name is Marty Vidnovic. And my mom was a performer as well. And they went to Cincinnati Conservatory of Music together. And I did a lot of shows together. And then they got divorced. I'm fine. And I was very little, and my mom remarried my dad, Sal, who's a psychotherapist. She was like, guess what I'm going to do differently? I'm going to marry a psychotherapist and not an actor. And so we moved to New Jersey, and I don't remember a time where I didn't want to be in musicals. I think also partially because my dad lived in New York, and my dad did musicals. And so that felt like that's where my dad lives, and that's where my dad does cool stuff. And so there was never a time where I wasn't singing. There was never a time where I wasn't listening to my mom's original cast albums of My Fair Lady and She Loves Me and, anything Brigadoon and Oklahoma and, and then I was like a real loner as a little kid. I didn't have a lot of friends. And in 4th grade, I had a solo, Castle on a Cloud, Natch. And everybody in my town was like, you're great at that. And I was like, got it. That's what I'm going to do with my life, because then people like you. People go from being like, no, thank you, to being like, do you want to sleep over? And I'm like, yeah, but we're watching Some Like It Hot.
Fabulous.
None of this pretty and pink bullshit.
This is our final question of the day. I'm going to start with you in case you have to run. What is the best bit of advice that you've been given, either personally or professionally, that you live by?
That when you meet someone, they tell you exactly who they are. Mary Beth Peele told me that. She said, if you meet, because I was like, why do I have such a hard time with boys? I keep dating these mean boys. And she was like, because you don't listen to them when they tell you who they are. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, the minute you meet someone, they tell you exactly who they are, and you just choose to ignore them. Great. And I was like, damn, son.
Deep.
And then I got married 2 more times. Bye.
You go there. She's going to go there for a second. Woo! She's off to the ladies' room.
I think she was leaking as she was going. She just leaked on the way out. It's not even necessarily professional. It's just personal. And again, I kind of sound like a broken record. I talk about this stuff a lot, but kindness is so important in life, and it costs nothing to be kind, and by the way, and also be kind to yourself as artists and as actors or musicians or anything in the arts. it's very easy to harsh on yourself, and especially when you have critique that floats around. Now we're in this season of this world and things and opinions and I'm very harsh on myself, and I think a lot of people would say that they're their own worst critic, and so maybe other people can relate to that. But I want things to be so awesome. I want somebody to walk away from She Loves Me and feel like they got overserved with awesome and excellence. I don't want anybody walking away going, yeah, that was pretty good. Like that's the worst to me. I would rather somebody walk away and go, you know what, I didn't like it, or that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. But when somebody walks away and they goes, yeah, I thought it was pretty good, I go, oh God, what did I miss? What could I have done more? Like what? And so that's very difficult. So you got to be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And going off of what Laura said, when people show you who they are, don't allow someone to steal your worth. Don't let someone dictate to you how much you're worth, because you are worth so much.
Jane, best bit of advice.
The best advice I was given was to take the baby wipe warmer off of your baby registry for your baby shower. Because once your baby gets used to warm butt wipes, you cannot go back.
That is hilarious.
Gavin?
That's it? That's the one? Vote. Vote. If you don't like the way the world is working, change it.
Yeah.
That's not the best advice I've ever been given, but that's the advice I want to give us all right now. Like, if you don't like the way it's going, there's nothing worse than somebody who just complains and doesn't do anything about it. Just do something. But my best advice I always say for every time is other people's successes are not your failures.
Yeah.
And when you really take that to heart, it makes this unbearable business bearable. Yeah. Like, for example, today the Drama Desk nominations came out and I'm not on it. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But I'm telling you, that's the advice I give so many people. It is just one of those things where people, they can succeed, and I had to call my agent, my best friend, and go, crap, am I sucking the hind one here? No, I'm doing what I know how to do. I'm doing the best that I can. It doesn't mean that I have failed. It means that there's enough room for success in the world, and we can all have a bit of it from time to time. But we can't believe our own hype or take ourselves too seriously. Like, it just is what it is, and we're going to have an awesome show tonight as She Loves Me, and I'm going to do really great work.
I thank you for one of the most beautiful afternoons.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
The advice, the company of She Loves Me.
I'm tingling, such delicious tingles. I'm trembling, what the hell does that mean? I'm freezing, that's because it's cold out. And still I'm incandescent, and like some adolescent, I'd like to scrawl on every wall I see. She loves me.